as you pointed out, like there was nothing but optimism and excitement and just ready to, it was just that feeling, Josh, where there's this anticipation of a release of positivity. It was kind of what we hope this next year is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, finally, this era is over. Oh man. We're like, finally, this era of sadness, and we're going to see it for the first time, and we're going to be able to just release all of that negativity and see this is the future that we were intended, the God intended future of Nebraska football with this new quarterback. And yeah, so spirits were as high. I mean, man, spirits were as high before that game as you'll ever see. It might not have been in terms of intensity. Intensity isn't the word, but spirits were high before that game in a way they probably haven't been since, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, Jack, that you're hitting on a lot of the things that happened in the lead up to that game, because it, like, you remember more hyped seasons, right? Like national championship seasons or seasons where they came close to it. So this is obviously different because nobody went into 2018 thinking that they were going to win a national championship. But there was definitely a feeling of, thank God, it's time to turn the page. You know those shirts that have become very popular over the years when Nebraska has fired coaches, where it's like Bob, Tom, some other guys, and then like whomever the new coach is. Like, I remember that there was one, it was like Bob, Tom, Frank, some other guy, Bo. And there was very much a some other guys, Frost, about that whole build up to that game. And like, you know, okay, so go back in your mind with it. Oregon is still in like the Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich era is not that far behind. Of course, Scott Frost was very much a part of that. The UCF season, like, you know, we hit on it throughout much of these Groin Kick Chronicles episodes, and we'll continue talking about it with some of these other 2017 games. But starting in like October, we're watching Nebraska, but we're peaking. We're looking south. We're looking at these games, you know, that UCF is playing, and their offense that year was a firecracker. It was so much fun. And then Adrian Martinez shows up. And so there's this thought of like, wow, not only is it time for the homegrown guy to come back, but he's going to do it, and Nebraska's finally going to be cool again. They're going to have an offense that's modern again. They're going to score points again.
It was this idea of not only, right, the former Husker who, like, there had been such sort of a cliche around bringing former Huskers back, like, our defensive coordinator should be Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom, right? That sort of thing that came up. But everyone thought, like, hey, it's okay with this one because he's legitimately the number one coach that anyone's trying to get anywhere. And so we got both sides of it. So it's totally okay for that. We'd be going for him if he wasn't a former Husker, and we ended up getting him. Oh, and also, he's going to bring a modernized version of this offense that we all like. He's going to take the things that we love about the old Nebraska offense, and he's going to take the things that we all saw with the Oregon offense over the last decade, which looked unstoppable at times, and he's going to put them together in this cauldron like he did successfully at Central Florida. Like, I understand why we were so excited. Like, it's like, now that I'm talking about it, I'm so jaded by how the years went after this, but man, I see why we were so excited. Like, it was justified at that moment for so many reasons. Now, I might have blown up the potential of that offense and the scheme to something that was more than it actually was, but But I mean, you've got that. And I think the other thing about it, Josh, is that I think we probably looked at that schedule and we were like, all right, well, obviously you're going to beat Akron and you got Colorado coming in. Man, that's going to be fun. Scott Frost against Colorado. And then you got Troy. So you're going to be 3-0.
3-0.
Going into Michigan. Scott Frost versus Michigan. And all of the hype about that. And you'll take your chances there. Kind of like you think about the Michigan game. Sort of like how you think about the schedule this coming year to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. And so in the end, of course, we know what happens is that the weather is great that day, and suddenly the weather is not great. I mean, it just rolls in so fast. And remember, too, Jack, this was the game Tim Brando was on the call. And as Scott Frost leads the team on the tunnel walk, he's like, this is going to be, what did he say? Urban Meyer or Nick Saban? He said Scott Frost was going to be Nebraska's version of one of those guys. Like, and the crazy thing is, man, we didn't think that it was that nuts. Like, we were all like, absolutely he is going to be that dude. And so they kick the ball off. Nebraska was going to be on offense. They kick the ball off. It's a touchback. The offense comes out onto the field. Adrian is in the shotgun formation. And then suddenly they come
Butch
on
Hug.
and they say, yep,
Butch Hug
comes
yep.
on. Hey, no.
Butch Hug, who used to yell. I got yelled at by Butch Hug when I was a kid for being in parts of Memorial Stadium I shouldn't have been in many times. That's another story. But that was kind of Butch Hug's swan song at the end of his career.
And so that happens. And Jack, I don't know if I've ever verbalized it until right now, but like a lot of people have always viewed this as like if they play this game, they win. They're 3-0, like you just said. And then the Scott Frost era is entirely different. But the thing that I've never thought until now is, wow, this is in a way the only way the Scott Frost era could have began, with drama, with weird drama over. I mean, because the thing that then happens next is hours of misinformation, confusion. Is the game going to get played late tonight? Is the game going to get played on Sunday morning?